Well, after yesterday's results, the delegate math had become virtually impossible, and a viable path to the nomination just no longer existed. And I will not be our party's nominee. But I will not walk away from the most important political fight of my life, and I hope you won't walk away either. I've always believed that defeating Donald Trump starts with uniting behind the candidate with the best shot to do it. And after yesterday's vote, it is clear that candidate is my friend and a great American, Joe Biden. I've known Joe for a very long time. I know his decency, his honesty, his commitment to the issues that are so important to our country, including gun safety, health care, climate change, and good jobs. And I've had a chance to work with Joe on those issues over the years, especially when he was vice president. He fought for working people his whole life. And I'm glad to say I endorse Joe Biden, and I hope you will join me in working to make him the next president of the United States.
Here's $1,000. Get excited. Each one of you a crisp $1,000 bill. Yay, Bloomberg. Bruce and Mark, did I mention on the show that he won Aspen, Colorado? I just thought that was awesome. People leave that out. It's only a county in Colorado.
You did not.
He won Aspen.
Of course he did.
Yeah, of course he did. I
Spends
mean,
a lot of time
you
there.
got to have if you're going to have people show up to vote in a place where legitimately houses are starting in the millions of dollars and people, put out their fire in the fireplace with Dom Perignon. I mean, you're going to go for Biden. I'm sorry. You're going to go for Bloomberg. Whoops. They went for Bloomberg. The B's keep getting me confused. There's too many B's. Biden, Bloomberg, Bernie. So he won that, and he won American Samoa. 300 votes cast in American Samoa. 55,000 total people on that island. But I've been digging more and more into Biden. There was actually a reasonably helpful Politico piece, although you have to love Politico in its reporting on the Chuck Schumer gaffe. Went with the whole McConnell pours gasoline on Schumer's comments. It's just Republicans pounce. They can't help themselves. Republicans pounce. That's always the way these things are. Whenever a Democrat makes a mistake, just look for the journos to say Republicans pounce. What about the mistake that was made? How about that as the focus? It would be like if you lit my house on fire and I came up to you and I was like, hey, why you really shouldn't have lit my house on fire. And then the reporter's like, oh, Buck pounces on member of Team Buck for lighting house on fire. Like, well, yeah. I think the bigger issue is the burning domicile, but nonetheless. Politico is a left-wing site pretending to be something else, but it does do some interesting stuff sometimes. And they had this piece today, 55 things you need to know about Joe Biden. This guy has been, I just want to give you some of this background because he's, and I know I've taken, producer Mark has said no soup for you to me many times over this already, I promise, or I'm lying. He didn't say that, but he's looked at me and I can tell from his eyes that's what he's thinking. Because, yes, looks like Biden is going to be the nominee. I thought Democrats were more creative than this. They're not. They're going with the oldest, most decrepit, most boring candidate they can possibly find. Bernie's old and decrepit, but he's a Marxist. So at least that's a little bit of spice thrown in the mix. And now we've got Joe Biden looking like he actually might get this whole thing done in Michigan. Michigan's in a week or two. If he has a really good showing in Michigan, which is a place that Bernie actually did well in the last election cycle, that's going to be that's pretty much it at that point, because the rest of the industrial Midwest is going to be very strong Biden territory, and Bernie's not going to be able to catch up. And if Biden goes into the convention with a delegate lead, which it looks like he is, then does anyone really believe that there's going to be some 11th hour effort to make Bernie the nominee? No, not going to happen. You look at all the endorsements are just piling in for Biden. But you look at his background, you look at his story, and there's some interesting stuff. First of all, he's from Scranton, perhaps best known as the town or the fictional office for The Office, the Dunder Mifflin paper company, which I've got to say, I do. The Office is an incredible show. I mean, the writing is so good that I sometimes wish that I could sit down and just, I'm wondering what the writer's process is, because It is the most consistently funny and well-executed comedy that I think I've ever seen. I used to be more of a Parks and Rec guy, but Parks and Rec has some ups and downs. Some down episodes. The first season is bad. I think The Office is probably the best. Anyway, Scranton, Pennsylvania is where The Office is supposed to be. Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. Michael Scott Paper Company, short-lived, but it was there too. So that's where Biden comes from. And, he's got a nice story. He played halfback at a Catholic prep school. He met his wife, first wife, Nelia Hunter, on spring break in the Bahamas. Oh, that sounds like fun. And they married in 1966. Beau Biden was born in 1969. And then Hunter Biden, who we're going to be hearing a lot more about, was born a year later. Biden said in a 1970 interview, quote, "I'm not a keep them barefoot and pregnant man, but I'm all for keeping them pregnant until I have a little girl. The only good thing in the world is kids." I like it. I mean, it's a nice sentiment, actually. I got to have some kids. I don't know if producer Mark's going to beat me to the kid finish line here, but got to have some kids one day. One of us at some point on this show will be able to celebrate the birth of some young ones.
I welcome you to beat me. Please go ahead.
You got some more. Well, you're like 25, aren't you?
I'm turning 27 in a month.
Woo!
I'm getting old.
Man, that's like. Oh, I think you could actually rent a car and not pay the higher rate now. Look at you.
Yeah, my car insurance will go down because I'm older.
Yeah. We got a graybeard millennial in the making over here. There we go. So Biden was, I just think, this is worthwhile if you want to know about this guy, Joe Biden, because, we see him, he's, corn pop and the blonde hair on my legs, and I yell, and sometimes I get a little southern for no reason. I say y'all when I want to seem folksy, even though I'm from Delaware. I think we should know more of the backstory of this guy. He was drafted after finishing law school, but he got he was... What is it? Is it 4F? I don't know what the designation is when you're drafted and you are essentially told you can't for health reasons. But he had asthma. So he didn't end up going to Vietnam because of his asthma. Now, okay. I guess that's a legit reason. I just would note the media has savaged Trump for bone spurs for not going to Vietnam. I always thought bone spurs were operable, by the way. Am I mistaken with that? I don't know, but I'm just going to know. And by the way, Bill Clinton being a draft dodger, which is a whole other thing, that was fine with the media. They're fine with that. So I'm just trying to I want to keep us as consistent as we can be here. They've called Trump a coward because of his bone spurs. Does Biden still have asthma? Did he always have asthma? Do we just... I'm just asking questions, right? As everyone says when they're poking around and don't want to get in trouble. I'm just asking questions. Let's see here. If he's elected in this, he's now 77 years old. If he wins this election, he will be the oldest president ever inaugurated. He has been a United States senator since he ran when he was 29 years old. So he wanted to do this right away. Now, he did lose, and I mentioned this before, he lost his wife and young child, and his two boys, Beau and Biden, were badly hurt in a car crash, which is a horrible tragedy. I also have to point out that, and Kevin Williamson wrote about this in National Review this week, that Biden openly and on the record has lied about that incident in the past, claiming that the truck driver who ran into the car that his wife and children were in had drunk his lunch. It was drunk driving. He has made that, which is a total lie. And the children of the now deceased truck driver have for years begged Biden to stop lying about their father. The police report said that Joe Biden's wife drove into the other lane. Now, obviously, it's an accident. It's a horrible mistake. But you don't have to get additional sympathy for yourself. You don't get to lie and malign another human being and think about the impact that has on his family and everything, to say that he committed a criminal act, and that's a horrible thing to say. Joe Biden's done that. That's Joe Biden's a liar. They're going to have a tough... You know, we had that guy Cenk who was freaking out yesterday, and I played his clip for you. But you know, I dealt with this on Bill Maher, where anything I tried to say about coronavirus is Trump's a liar. Trump's a liar. That's all they say. I said, well, I mean, can we talk about what he's doing, or can we talk about the no? Trump's a liar. Anything else is BS. Trump. This is just it's like a tick. They can't get past this. They're going to have an interesting time explaining how is Joe Biden not a liar. Joe Biden's a liar. He lies on some big things, and he lies when he doesn't have to. He's very comfortable lying. So, you know, and that's, you don't lie about stuff like that. You don't lie about somebody else being responsible for killing your wife and child in a car accident in a way that they would be negligent and criminally liable for. You don't get to destroy someone else's reputation for doing that. That's not okay. Biden got a lot of heat because in the 70s he opposed court-ordered busing. As I've told you, people don't think through the busing issue very much. They think it's a very, cut and dry. This is absolutely what needs to be done. There's no question. Okay, but a lot of people, a lot of young African Americans didn't want to be bused. They wanted to stay in their community with their friends, near their families. They don't get a say in this? Nope. Because, let's be honest, a bunch of white lib Democrats thought this was a great idea and didn't care what the people that it was supposed to help actually thought about it. And then, by the way, there are also young white students that were sent, way across town, hour each way in the bus. Somebody who's spending like an hour and a half every day in the subway, let me tell you, the commutes wear you down. They wear you down. One of the great advantages of the modern world we live in now is increasingly the ability to work more remotely, to get more work done remotely, to be able to mold your schedule. We've gotten away, and this is a departure from the Biden talk, but we've gotten away from the early industrial revolution concept of like show up, 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours in a place doing this thing all day. It's you're in place of machinery, and your productivity is just hours and labor. There's no, there's no creativity. There's no accelerating your process. We got to kind of cubicles and more 9 to 5 and, air conditioned rooms and all. Okay, but increasingly we want to just be, what is the job? What is productive? What do you need to do? And wherever you can do that is acceptable. I think that's a huge step in the right direction. And commuting really long distances, I'm hoping for most people will be a thing of the past increasingly over time. It already is changing. He is a, quote, self-described gaffe machine. This is what I was talking about with Biden being a liar. He falsely said he was shot at in Iraq. He falsely said he met the survivors of the 2018 Parkland, Florida shooting while he was vice president. That happened after he left office. He falsely claimed he was arrested while trying to visit Nelson Mandela in apartheid-era South Africa, and so on and so forth. Those are just the ones they list here. Those are lies. The guy's lying, right? He is lying about this stuff. And they're going to have to defend all this, I suppose. In 1987, he ran for president the first time. Do you remember what happened? Oh, yeah. Another little ethical lapse. He plagiarized speeches by Margaret Thatcher and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, falsely referring to ancestors of his who worked in the coal mines. He didn't have ancestors who worked in coal mines. He's a liar, folks. He just lies. Classic cynical politician. Let's see what else we have. He presided over the Clarence Thomas Supreme Court confirmation. Told you about that. He later apologized and said he didn't give her a fair hearing because he realized he was supposed to finish off Clarence Thomas. That was what he was supposed to do, but he didn't do it. And he voted against the use of force to drive Iraq out of Kuwait in 1991, which now is generally considered to have been a very successful intervention with very limited. Although people might extend the first Iraq War into the second Iraq War, that's a whole other conversation. He said that he called to his face Slobodan Milosevic a, quote, damned war criminal. Nope, no, he didn't. And he says that. You go through this, and there's a recurring theme here that he just lies a lot. He tells a lot of stories that are not true, and he's also going to have to defend his son getting $50,000 a month for Burisma and saying that that's fine. Perhaps he should just go around saying it was a perfect board position. Just take that approach. That's what the media's been doing for him.
Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.